Hi guys, Billy back, and this time we're going to be looking at the Vimal X11 1/6 scale Loki Headsculpt. Coupled that with the Onesixthkit 11 body prototype that they designed and made, and it has a black suit on and everything. Now, I believe it was conceptualized and designed by Onesixthkit and 11. It's kind of like a mix of 1/6 scale enthusiasts coming together to produce this set. So it'll be very interesting to see what it's like. But first of all, you can see they've gone with a very sleek, very understated packaging. We've got Vimal X11 logo spot gloss on the front of the Headsculpt box, and you can see it's just like a jewellery box where you slide this out, and then inside you've got the foam padding with the Headsculpt inside, and then the 1/6 scale suit with body is in a very understated, no words on it, black packaging. Very simple, very easy. It's basically there to protect the item inside without being too fussy or anything like that. So with that said, let's just open these packages up and see exactly what we get. Okay, first of all, we're just going to open up the Headsculpt box. You can see there's foam padding in there. We slide it out. This is the Headsculpt inside, and that's all you get. That's all you need, really. And then we're going to slide off the plastic bag here. We're going to have a look at that Headsculpt itself, and nice. Now, I have very stark lighting, so this can actually wash and reflect back a little bit, but with my eyes I can see there's some really nice speckling and design in that skin tone. It's very light, and you can see with the colour of my hand there, the skin tone and my hand aren't much different. In fact, they've got sort of like a really sort of very Caucasian skin tone, which is really good because sometimes they overly tan the figures when they're painting them. But this clearly looks like Tom Hiddleston, mostly from Thor Ragnarok in his plain understated clothing, which is kind of why I got this, because I'm a big Ragnarok fan and I like to get figures from it where I can. You can see, look at the sculpting in this hair. It's actually got layering in there as well. They've got different layers of hair so that you can see there's some depth in and underneath it there. It's very finely detailed all the way up in here. Sometimes the hair can look a little soft on 1/6 scale. You can almost see every strand of hair in there. It's very nicely detailed. There is a tiny seam up the top here, which is a bit disappointing, but it's still very nice. And you can see he's actually got paint going through, and it's actually blushed all the way around the forehead there. So it's not just one flat colour. It's got a really nice 5 o'clock shadow all the way around here as well. And the eyes are nice and glossy. And then you can see they've also even gone in and given them slightly pinkish ears around the edges and stuff. Going down, you can see it's got the Adam's apple and everything. It looks really good. It definitely looks like Loki from Thor Ragnarok. He's even got a slightly off center nose. It's like sometimes they could make them too perfect and they can make them too symmetrical and they end up looking a little off. But you can see there's asymmetry in the sculpt there, especially around the nose and that. It makes it look really good. And just coming in and having a look at the Hot Toys Loki from Thor Ragnarok, you can see it is still a very nice sculpt. But I think I proved with my own review video about this being a bit more like Tom Hiddleston on one side and a little less like Tom Hiddleston on the other. And that's just the way it is sometimes, you know. Certain angles you get Tom Hiddleston perfectly, and then others you're just not sure. But this is the Vimal Headsculpt next to it, and you can see they both have their strengths and a slight weakness. Now, I would say that the Hot Toys one is a bit more staunch, and they tried to put a smirk in, but it didn't really work. I think it's too soft a sculpt to try and get the smirk in, but you can see they got it perfectly with this Vimal 11 version. It looks really good, and actually you can see that there's even slight more layering of blushing and stuff around the cheeks and the forehead and stuff and the nose that makes him look a little bit more realistic in certain angles. I think the Tom Hiddleston likeness, I'm not sure, does he have a ridge like that on his nose? Very rarely do you see him straight on from the side. But you can see the head sculpt on the Vimal one just looks a little bit more clean. But I have to say, I do like the smirk on the Vimal version. It's actually much better, and it looks it has a bit more personality. This looks a little bit flat, and he looks a little bit like forlornly staring into the distance. I think they tried to give him a smirk, but it didn't fully work. But this guy full on has a little bit of a cheekiness to him and really does capture that personality of Loki from the Marvel movies. And the Vimal 11 head sculpt makes him look like he is burdened with glorious purpose whereas the Hot Toys one, the expression kind of makes him look like somebody's farted in the lift and he's just not entirely sure who did it yet. Okay, so let's open up the suit and body set. And again, you've got the lovely foam insert, which I always like. And inside we've got the suit, we've got some hands, we've got some knives and extra wrist pegs. Okay, so here is the body just straight out of the box, and you can see it's got this lovely suit on here. I've got to get there's a bit of fluff on there. Oh, damn it. I have to remove that fluff in a second. But you can see just straight up, this looks like a very nice, fitted, tailored 1/6 scale suit. And they've actually designed it and fitted it to this specific body. I believe this was designed and made by 11, and it is absolutely gorgeous. And one of the highlights of this suit and the body is the fact that I think 1/6Kit, I think Kit Chen himself, he came up with the idea of an adjustable neck adapter, and 11 helped design it and they made it. And it's almost like, I genuinely think this is the future of 1/6 scale bodies. You can see in here that it's actually on a neck peg, and it looks like it's got a little bit of a notch in here like a screw. It can extend the neck upwards or shrink it down a little bit, and that to me just blows my mind. Something like that mixed with the seamless forearms that I think I first saw on the Samurai, is it Musashi figure by 11? I don't remember seeing the seamless forearms beforehand. I think it was the Tony Stark workshop set, and they had, like, you know, magnetic forearms and things like that. But I think the genuine 1/6 scale seamless forearms without the wrist peg and everything on it, and they're just all sculpted all together, I think that came with the Musashi figure. Lots of companies have, you know, taken that and run with it, and now we're seeing like in-art studios coming out with these seamless forearms. And I think Worldbox are also coming out with their own forearm set for their own bodies, like the AT020 and things like that. So those forearms are getting out there now. It's such a great idea, and that's really going to be the future of 1/6 scale. Something like an adaptable neck peg in these third-party bodies mixed with those sort of seamless forearms and stuff are really going to take 1/6 scale collecting to the next level, in my opinion. Okay, so as you can see, you've got the head sculpt in here. If you put this onto the peg, you can turn this around and it will go higher, or it can go lower, and that is really, really good. One of my only concerns is that if it doesn't go down low enough, it can't accommodate those extra long necks. You know, you want it to go all the way down, almost to the bottom. You can see it doesn't go all the way down into the bottom, but if it can get further down, that's when you're going to find yourself at a better advantage, because then it really will fit any head sculpt. Looking at the suit itself, you can see just how well tailored to this body this is, and it's super nice, really, really detailed. It looks really classy as well. There isn't actually a lot of futzing you need to do with it. Maybe a bit of moving around here when you put the neck in and stuff. It looks really good, and the buttons are not too big, which is good. You can see the tiny little buttons underneath here. I believe this is stitched, so you can't undo it, I'm afraid. And then you can see it's got all these lovely little fake pockets here, and he's got the lovely pleating down in the front of the trousers here, and they're nice and thin, they're not too thick, doesn't feel too woolly. It actually feels quite a lot like a real suit. And then down here you can see he's got some nice classy sort of shoes on, quite glossy, maybe not as glossy as I'd hoped, but once you pull up the trouser leg, he's still got the socks on as well, which is nice. Yeah, so if you're posing him around and the foot goes up, it won't expose the ugly joint at the bottom. We can see he's got some really nice sort of articulation. It's a little bit restricted because of the suit here. I'd like to be able to get up a little bit more, but it's a little bit tight because, again, he's got all those layers on. He also comes with two fisted hands and two sort of knife holding hands. You can see the details in these are really nice. They've actually coloured in the knuckles to make them look a little bit more realistic, all the way down to the tips of the fingers. I think the fingertips are a little bit soft, maybe a bit more detail in the fingernails would have been nice. But obviously I think these are like stock hands, but they've actually gone back and just added more paint to them. He also comes with extra wrist pegs and these two daggers, because what's Loki without a pair of daggers? And you can see they're pretty nice. They're very nicely sculpted, but I'd say they're just kind of like a very sort of bog standard silver, and there's not a lot of detail in them. I mean, if we were to pull up the Ragnarok Loki daggers here, we can see these are just a little bit more well painted, and they've got those lovely sort of blue hues going through them. It's sort of deeper at the ends than it is in the middle, that kind of thing. It's a little bit more metal and shiny. It's a much better silver on these daggers. So these are certainly much nicer, but I think these little silver ones complement the suit pretty well.
3 hours later.
Can you move it along? I'm all out of time cards.
Okay, so I've managed to get the head sculpt done, but it wasn't as easy as I'd hoped it would be. Basically, when you're trying to put the head sculpt in, this neck piece is a bit tight, so you're trying to get it down in there, and then you've got to adjust that nodule a little bit up and down to make sure you get the neck level right. But also at the same time, I ended up with this hair pushing down the collar and making it look all scrunched up and not looking right. So it becomes really, really difficult to put that head sculpt in cleanly and, you know, easily. You just have to do something. And then the button on the jacket came undone as I was trying to futz it all around and move it so that, you know, I could get all the clothes back into place. And now the damn thing won't close. I cannot. This is actually a button, and this is a buttonhole. And unfortunately, this button will not go back in. It just won't. I've been at it for about an hour and a half. I've literally run the battery down on my phone while I was trying to get it done. So you can imagine, just it's been an absolute pain in the butt. Let's pretend that button is shut for the moment, and let's see what exactly we've got. And I actually really like the design and the suit and the head sculpt and everything. The whole thing just looks really nice and classy. I think Loki looks awesome. If you're on a shelf and you're walking past it and you take a look, you're like, oh shit, that's Loki. And that little sort of mischievous grin really does bring that personality back that we lost with the Thor Ragnarok Loki. I'm not sure what they're going to do with the Avengers Loki, if they're going to, you know, change that head sculpt. I don't think so. They would have announced it by now. And I have to say, honestly, the head sculpt is fantastic. I really do like it. I think it's got some great design in there, some lovely paint application. I mean, it's Vimal and 11, and the pair of them together, they're very good customizers themselves. So they know what they want to see in a 1/6 scale third-party figure. They know what quality level they would want to show off in their collection, and I think they've done a great job. My only gripes are, one, that button doesn't close. Number two, that the head sculpt can be really difficult getting into that suit. And then my criticism here is the dagger holding hands. They look very casual, you know. They don't look like he's gripping his daggers really well and, you know, he's ready for some action or something. It just looks a little bit like he's kind of resting in his hands, and they look a bit flimsy. I would have liked those daggers to be a bit bigger so they fit into his hands just a little bit more. Again though, it sort of portrays that nice sort of idea that it is Loki and he does carry them knives around with him, and, you know, any second he can just pop up and jab you with them, you know. And I know some people are going to ask, so we're going to try and do this anyway. So let's give this a go. See if the Loki horns can fit on this guy. They kind of do, but they also kind of don't as well, and I'm worried about getting paint rub there. It does kind of fit. I think it does. It's a bit loose up the top there. It doesn't grip as well. But if you wanted to, you could have him with the Loki horns on. And actually, this is the Hot Toys Ragnarok version. You see there's a bit of paint dye on the neck, which came from inside this collar piece here. Just a bit of a bummer, but I've never taken this off before, so I've never seen it, and you probably won't ever see it again. But honestly, yeah, you can see they've actually kind of matched up the head ports on these. So, okay, give me a second, I'll give it a go. And here is the Vimal 11 head sculpt on the Ragnarok Loki. And yeah, I think they absolutely nailed it. It's a good choice with the neck adapter because it fits this body pretty well. Only thing I will say is that it is very difficult with that helmet. It doesn't fully fit because, as you can see with the original, the hair at the sides is a lot thinner, just here and here, so you can fit the helmet on better. Let me try and see if I can fit this on as best I can. And here is the Vimal head sculpt with the horns on, and yeah, it kind of fits. It's not the best. It does feel a little tight on there, and I think over time there could be a bit of rubbing on the head sculpt. But again, it's that thing is, would you know, display this without the horns on anyway? You can see there is some slight gapping coming in here, just on the side, just on the sides of the helmet where that hair is pushing it out, and then there's a little bit more of a gap up in the hair here. Overall, this is a very nice third-party set. I will say, be very careful of that suit jacket button. Drove me nuts. I still can't do it up. Anyone got any tips out there, sound off in the comments and let me know how I should do up that button again, because it's just nigh on impossible. But I really do like that head sculpt. I think it will look great on the Thor Ragnarok Loki as well. But this suit is very nicely tailored, well made. It's very nicely, tightly tailored to this body. But my real excitement comes from that adjustable neck peg. It's a game changer. That and the seamless forearms, boom. We've got ourselves the next level in 1/6 scale collecting. And I really hope going forward we'll see more bodies with that adjustable neck peg idea, because it is just great idea kit and absolutely great execution by 11. Absolutely brilliant. Okay guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe if you do me a favour now. If you can get the fuck out of my cave. I'm going to spend the next 6 hours trying to put that button into that buttonhole again, and I am not looking forward to it one tiny little bit. Starting to understand why all the companies go with those snap fasteners now. As annoying as they are, they're probably the lesser of two evils. Thanks a lot guys. Bye bye.